Welcome back to Mindset Monday. I'm Gene Zanetti, your coast-to-coast mindset coach. Today we're going to talk about conquering hypocrisy. Okay, this is one of the biggest things that we need to overcome as athletes, as coaches, and just as people. Let's start from this premise. We're all hypocrites. Every one of us. We say one thing and we do the other. It just comes in a matter of degree. Some of us are bigger hypocrites than others are, but we're all hypocrites. So let's admit that. Step one to solving any problem, or we don't call them problems, we call them challenges. The only way to solve a challenge is by first admitting we're struggling. We need help. And we all do, myself included. Okay, so we are all hypocrites. We all say one thing and we do the other, at least some of the time. To the extent that we conquer that hypocrisy, that's how much more potential we're going to get out of ourselves. So let's go through a few areas of our hypocrisy, being aware of it, and what we do about it. Okay? So start up with this. What percentage of sports is mental and what percentage is physical? Almost everyone says sports are somewhere between 50 and 90% mental. Okay, now ask yourself this question. What percentage of your training is physical versus mental? Usually it's the opposite. Most of us say that sports are 80, 90% mental, but then when it comes to our training, we're training about 90 to 95% physical, almost entirely physical. So we have a hypocritical situation right there. We're saying one thing, but we're doing the other. Now look, you're not completely guilty here. A lot of us aren't even aware sometimes how we're being hypocritical, but I'm calling your attention to it now. Think about it. So what do we tend to do when we find that we're being hypocritical? A lot of times what we do is we change the subject. We distract ourselves. Maybe we play video games, watch TV, YouTube, whatever it might be, social media, have a conversation with someone. We tend to distract ourselves. Okay, we're living in the age of the buffered self, okay, where we're basically amusing ourselves to death. That's the title of the book. And we distract ourselves instead of sitting with the discomfort that it causes in the pit of our stomach that we're being hypocrites. So what are you going to do about it? Ask yourself that question and sit with it. Sit with the discomfort. Learn to sit with the discomfort and ask yourself, what am I going to do about it? You're saying that sports are somewhere between 50 and 90% mental. So you should be training somewhere between 50 and 90% mental. Doesn't mean you're training less physically, but it means you're putting even more time into your mindset. So sit with that. What are you going to do about it? I'm challenging you. I'm calling you to the table here. What are you going to do about it? That's why we have our mindset program, so you can actually take the bull by the horns and deal with experts who deal with this on a regular basis. So your team is now getting weekly mindset sessions. Of course, if you want a free introduction session for your team, just let us know. We're happy to do that for you. But sit with that. We're saying it's somewhere between 50 and 90% mental, sports, and even life, yet we're training 95% physical. What are you going to do about it? Don't run away from that. Okay, another situation that I could think of where we're being hypocritical is different areas of our life that we know we could be cleaning up. So let me give you an example of this from my personal athletic career. If you were to ask me at any point in time, so I wrestled, how, in a scale of 1 to 10, how important is being a state champion to you? Or how important is being a national champ to you? I know the answer is like a 9. I should be saying, I wanted to say a 9, right? So, and the only reason why not a 10 is because obviously that's like reserved for faith, morals for the Lord, right? But on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious am I about my goal in sports? I would have said a 9. Okay, so now think about different areas of the sport, because it's never just sport in totality. Let's look at our lifestyle. Many different areas of our lifestyle. And also our training. Mentally, technically, conditioning, strength, nutrition, if I didn't say that already, rest and recovery. How am I doing on all those areas? Flexibility, plyometrics, tendon strength, balancing my body with mobility and stability, my social life, academically. There's all different areas, right? So how am I living on all those different areas? Now let's stick with nutrition, because that was something I was particularly bad at when I was competing. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm saying being a state champ is a 9 of importance. Okay, well, how am I eating on a scale of 1 to 10 that's going to support my goals? So I knew that we all know that nutrition is very important to achieving our goals. How well am I eating on a scale of 1 to 10? Back when I was competing, being honest with you, probably a 2. Probably a 2. In high school, it might even have been a 1. Okay, so sit with that hypocrisy. Don't run away. Don't distract yourself. You're saying your goal is 9 or a 10. How come your eating is not at the level of a 9 or a 10? If you've identified that nutrition is important to your success, which you'd have to admit that, otherwise you're just not being realistic, why aren't you eating better? Don't run from that hypocrisy. So one of two things is true. Either 1, you're not as serious about your goal as you think. You're really not at a 9 or a 10 for importance of reaching your goal. Or 2, our nutrition needs to change, right? We recognize there's a problem. So now that it's pointed out to us, we're aware of our hypocrisy. I got to change my eating habits. One or the other is true. Either your goal's not as important to you, or you're going to change your eating habits. Same thing about rest and recovery. Think about sleep. A lot of athletes, even very good college athletes, we're not getting our 8 hours of sleep. I wasn't always. Okay? So on a scale of 1 to 10, go back to the numbers. I like the idea of a number because it locks you into an answer, and it's easier to confront yourself here. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it that you reach your goal? Now, you know rest and recovery is important. Your sleep, getting 8 hours of sleep. We all know that, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you really taking in? Are you really living that? How much are you living that? Your rest and your recovery and your sleep, getting 8 hours every night. Consistent. Going to sleep at a certain time, waking up at a certain time. 1 to 10. Again, if I went back to myself, I'd probably say maybe a 3. 3 probably. So now look, sit with that hypocrisy. You're saying your goal is a 9 or a 10, yet you're sleeping at a level 3. Okay, so either you're not that serious about your goal, either you're not at a 9 or 10 for achieving your goal, or your sleep needs to change. It's one or the other. So you pick. What's it going to be? What are you going to do about it? Don't distract yourself. Don't run away. Sit with your hypocrisy. Now you could do that with any other area of your life. Let's say you had a goal where you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it might be, a certain profession. Okay, how important is that to you on a scale of 1 to 10? Pick your number. You're probably going to say something high. Now, how much are you living it in terms of studying, in terms of pursuing that career path, whether it be going to your career services in college, speaking to people who are in that career, doing research on your own on the internet. You're a click away from getting a lot of information. It's very easy to find people on LinkedIn and people's emails addresses you could be reaching out to. How proactive are you with pursuing your career on a scale of 1 to 10? How serious are you taking your studies in that area on a scale of 1 to 10? And then you'll see your level of hypocrisy, right? I figured this out with my faith. When my brother said he wanted to be a priest, my brother Greg said he wanted to start applying to seminaries. That really hit me like a slap in the face. I said, wow, my brother's giving his life to God. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is my faith to me? I put the test to myself. I said, how important is my faith to me on a scale of 1 to 10? This is really what helped me go through a reversion, if you want to call that, about 5 years ago. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I know that my faith, my morals, the Lord is a 10 of importance to me. How well am I living it on a scale of 1 to 10? And honestly, probably about a 2. Basically when it was convenient for me. What are you going to do about it? Don't run from your hypocrisy. Sit there. One or two things is true. Either your faith's not that important to you on a scale of 1 to 10, or you got to start making some changes. And that's when I realized I really have to give my life to God and not just lip service, not just say it, not just do it when it was convenient for me. So again, I bring this up because literally any area of your life, you could put yourself to the hypocrisy test. How important is your goal on a scale of 1 to 10? And then how much are you living in the different areas that are going to help you reach your goal? Figure that out. The person who's willing to do this, the athlete that's willing to do this, the student that's willing to do this, is going to be the person, and sit with that hypocrisy and put that question to yourself. What are you going to do about it? The person who puts themselves to that question, sits in that discomfort, and asks themselves, what am I going to do about it? And then takes action. That's going to be the person who reaches their goal. That's the person who's going to overcome themselves. Your biggest opponent is not the people you're competing against. Get that out of your head. Your biggest opponent, you already know this, your biggest opponent is yourself. I'm pointing to myself right now on the screen, and it's right. The person who's looking right back at me, that's the biggest opponent. I got to beat myself. I need to overcome myself, which means I need to overcome my hypocrisy. And you too, you need to overcome your hypocrisy. And the first step is admitting that you, me, and all of us were hypocrites to a certain extent. Okay, what are we going to do about it? Let's take action this year. 2020, big year. 2200. Let's make this a big year. Let's make something happen. Let's change things. Let's get out of our hypocrisy and let's take our life to the next level. Let's take our career to the next level. Let's take our fitness to the next level. Whatever area it is in your life, let's take it to the next level. Let's confront our hypocrisy head on. That's what it is to be a real man, to be a real woman, putting it on the line and being willing to take a good, honest look at ourselves and be humble. I could change. And it's true. I got to change. You got to change. Everyone's got to change. And you know, I don't like to say the word should, have to, must, need to, and ought to, unless it's a very extreme situation. But if you want to get better, you got to change. If I want to get better, I got to change. So that's one of those rare situations where I got to use an extreme word because we want to take it to the next level. Something's got to happen. It's not going to change by itself. What are you going to do about it? Let's stop being hypocrites and let's take it to the next level. Make sure you stay with us next week for Mindset Monday. As we always say, mindset makes the difference. Let's make 2020 our year. Academically, athletically, socially, and on and on and on. Take care.